Hey guys, welcome to Achieve with Carolina Live. I'm Carolina Romaniuk, your child and family sleep specialist, and welcome to my live sessions. I am going to be talking today about the next type of sleep regressions. So I'm going to kind of wait a little bit to see how many more people that we're going to get on and to get the conversation starting. So just to do a recap of yesterday's for the 4-month sleep regression period, it's very interesting because it's marketed wonderfully, saying that it's, a regression. Hi Leona, thanks for joining. That it's a wonderful regression period, and really it's just marketed meaning that it's a developmental milestone. That's really what it means. Where all hell might break loose for some families when their little one was sleeping beautifully before, and now all of a sudden things start to change, and it's only because they're growing. So it's kind of like a growth spurt. So that's really what we were talking about yesterday on the 4-month sleep regression period, and a couple of pointers that I was giving you to. Hey Jane. Aw, thank you. I try. I'm running out of clothes though, so I don't know. It's gonna be very difficult. I'm gonna have to go shopping soon because I don't want to wear the same outfit more than once. But thanks Leona, thanks Jane. So just to do a recap again from yesterday with the video on the 4-month sleep regression period is, Jane says I come home straight wearing sweats. Well, I'm wearing a nice top on top, but I am wearing sweatpants on the bottom. I'm very cozy that way. So this looks nice, but on the bottom, I promise you I'm wearing sweatpants. But I have to go shopping because I need to get more tops. So so just to continue on with this is that yesterday we were finishing up with the 4-month sleep regression and talking about how awesome it is when your little one turns 4 to 5 months old. And no, I'm not showing you my pants. Okay, stop. So today what we're going to be talking about is 8 to 12 month olds and the next sleep regression period for that. So babies always seem to be going through something, right? They're always going through teething like their entire life. I was actually talking to another dentist today because I'm studying for adult sleep with Dr. Jordan C. Stern. He's fabulous, and he has an on-site dentist. So I was chit-chatting with him on dental sleep, and he was educating me on all these different aspects of it and how kids can sometimes still have their baby teeth up until, puberty, like 13 years old. I was really shocked at that. So, and then we were talking about braces and then sleep apnea for little kids. So it was a really interesting conversation. But, kids, no matter what age they are, they're always going through something. So specifically with today's video, what we're going to be talking about is the second stage of sleep regression period. That is between 8 to 12 months. So babies usually go through, at this point, new developmental milestones. So the first one at 4 months is when they're getting more into adult-like sleep, when their sleep starts to get lengthened out at night. And now at 8 months to 12 months, things really take it to a different notch level, right? So what happens is at 8 months, between 7 to 8 months, that's when your little one starts to sit up. And it's so cute because they got their little chunky little legs and they're trying to prop themselves up, and then they're wobbling like a little penguin. So it's really adorable. And then you finally sit them up, they got their balance, and then they just plop back down, and then you prop them back up. So it's kind of like you're playing a game with them. And that goes into their nighttime sleep too. So they start to practice lots of these skills that you notice during the day. They try and practice them at night. And then what happens is at night, it kind of wakes them up because they don't know how to put themselves down. Hey Shayna, thanks for joining. So if you guys like this video, like it, make sure that you share it so we get more of your friends on for today. If you know of anyone that is going through an 8-month to 12-month sleep regression period, make sure to highlight their name, let them on join, so then they could get more of the juicy info that I'm going to be giving out, or they could watch the replay also. So if you are watching the replay, I know who you are. Make sure that you can comment as well, and I'll be able to respond to you after the video is done, going live. So to continue on with the 8-month-olds, they are, when they start sitting up, they are going to practice that at nighttime also. So we're going to go into 3 main factors that occur during this time frame for 8 to 12 months, and what kind of solutions go for that. I'm only going to go into the 3 major aspects. Of course, there are a lot more, but these are the 3 major ones that I usually get asked quite often by moms on, either forums, or they private message me and they ask me all these questions. So to start off, you should understand what a sleep regression period is. So for the ones that are signing on, we're talking about 8 to 12-month-old sleep regression and their solutions. So to understand what a sleep regression means, it's just a developmental milestone. Simple, right? Easy. It means that there's a growth spurt going on, and sometimes it can take, for some children, if they already have the proper sleep hygiene in place, they know how to put themselves down to sleep, it can be as easy as 2 weeks, maybe a week, and then once they go out of that, then everything will go back to normal and they'll sleep beautifully again. But what happens for most kids is when they are not trained and they don't have proper self-soothing skills, that you're kind of layering on top of one piece where they don't have their foundation set, and then you're layering when the next sleep regression period happens, you're layering something else on top of that, and then it just kind of creates like a crumbling effect. So you're just layering one false piece on top of the next, and it's not good. It's not cohesive, just a mess. So the bottom line is nobody sleeps, and the longer that you wait, the more ingrained these habits are for your children when they are older. So one of the factors that you would want to look for at 8 months, that is when they go from their 3-nap schedule to a 2-nap schedule. And how do you do that? Is it working for anyone? What's going on, Jane? You can't see me? Can everyone hear me? Give me a thumbs up. I'm worried that Jane can't. Hi, Abigail. Thanks for joining. Babe, can you see me? Yeah? I froze for 5 minutes. Oh, man. Facebook Live, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so anyway, so I'll continue. If anything, Jane, you can watch the replay if it froze. But can you guys hear me? Thumbs up, say yes, so I know I'm not talking to myself. Hey, Nicole. Okay, cool. So we're good. So I'm going to continue. So with the 8-month-old, one of the factors is the transitioning from the 3 to 2 naps. So how will you know when your little one needs to have the transition? Hi, Lara. Thanks for joining. Hi, Abigail. Okay, cool. Everyone can hear me. So one of the factors is that they start playing through that nap. So you're doing the nap 1, you're doing the nap 2, everything works beautifully. And then when you put them down for the 3rd nap, which should be short, it should be relatively 30 to 45 minutes, is a cat nap. It doesn't really have any significance to it. It's just a bridge gap between the 2nd nap and bedtime. It's just to, to bridge them together so it can hold your little one over when they go into their bedtime. So the 3rd nap that's really what it is. The first 2 naps are significant in value. The first nap is mental restoration, and the 2nd nap is physical restoration. So those 2 have to stay. They're not going anywhere. And the 3rd nap by 8 months should disappear. So if your little one is still taking a 3rd nap, start to watch if it starts to diminish their sleep time at night, because bedtime sleep, nighttime sleep is non-negotiable. That is your main key. That is what you need to protect, is their nighttime sleep. Of course, daytime sleep is just as important, but what outweighs it is the nighttime sleep, which outweighs it more. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that that they don't get less than approximately 10 to 11 hours at night. So keep a sleep diary. If it balances out and they're skipping their third nap and they're 8 months old, kaputski, get rid of it. It could even be 7 months. I've had kids that young, even 6 months at that point. So you want to just start to see when to transition them out of it. 8 months is ideal to get out of that third nap to protect the first 2 naps and bedtime. But sleep has to be balanced. So if you are receiving night wakings and you are still giving your child a third nap, let's say they're 8.5 or 9 months old, that could be a significant reason in why they're having night wakings, because they're having too much sleep. And yes, that's possible. So what you want to do is you want to have a balanced nap. So that's the first part. Making sure also for the 3 to 2 naps is that the last nap should not be past 4 p.m. because then that goes into bedtime as well. So you want to protect the hours that from the last nap, which is the second nap, that it's not too pushed further down, so your little one passes the 4 o'clock window of sleep time. So 4 o'clock is your cutoff time for eliminating that third nap. Everything good? Yeah? Okay. Sorry, my husband was looking at me. So, okay. The next part is you should understand that when you are in transition mode, if it's 3 naps to 2 or 2 to 1, what's going to happen is you might have a couple of days here or there that you might have to put in an extra day of a nap. So for an example, when you're going at 8 months from 3 to 2 transitions, you might have 2 days that are just 2-day naps, and then a third day your child just might need a third nap to hold them over. And that's normal, because what's happening is their body's going to a gradual transition. You don't want to kickstart everything really quickly and then all hell breaks loose. You want to go into an easy, slow pattern for it. Hi Marta, hi Sarah, thanks for joining. So you want to go into a slow, steady pace with it. And if your little one is needing a third nap on the 3rd day or the 4th day, give it to them. It's fine, as long as it's not on a consistent basis and it's not interrupting their night's sleep to do that. So also implement an early bedtime. When you're eliminating any type of sleep, because in this case for 8 months you're going to be eliminating the third nap because they don't need it. Some kids do naturally transition out of it and it just gets pushed out of the window, and then that's fine. Some kids it doesn't happen to. So like my son, my youngest son, when he had to go from his 2 to 1 nap transition, that didn't happen easily. That took us a long time to get to, and I had to gradually transition him out of it. But my oldest son, it was easy peasy with him. He just went naturally into the rhythms with the sleep transition. So every child is different. No matter how many kids you could have 2, you could have 1, you could have 6. They're all different, and make sure that you treat each child individually and not as a whole group. So keep that in mind. The next part is, what I was saying about the early bedtime is it can be anywhere between 6:15 and 7:30. So don't think that, oh my God, I'm going to put my little one down at 6 and then he's going to wake up at 5:30 or 4 o'clock or whatever time it is. The whole key is that you're balancing sleep out. So if you have the first two naps, remember it's mental restoration is the morning nap, physical restoration is the afternoon nap. If you're having these 2 awesome naps, but you had the third nap when they were younger, now you're getting rid of that third nap, so you only have 2. That means you lost sleep, right? So you got rid of sleep. So what are you going to do? You have to give back at a certain point that sleep, so during that time of transition, your child is still getting adequate amount of sleep while you're transitioning them into the 2 perfected naps. So how you do that is by implementing an early bedtime. So those are the key pieces for the 3 to 2 nap transition. I'm going to answer questions in a couple of minutes. I just want to go through these 3 main factors, and then I'm going to go, as I usually do, scroll down and make sure that I answer everyone. Okay? So the second main factor to look out for in the 8 to 12 month regression period is separation anxiety peaks. I mean, it peaks at like high at 8 months. So if your little one was perfectly fine, they went to, your aunts, your uncles, grandparents, daycare, they were peachy keen when you would drop them off. Everything was, loosey goosey. And then all of a sudden they start latching onto your leg, and then they cry and they don't want to let go of you whatsoever. It's a time frame in their development when separation anxiety occurs. It's because their cause and effect that they started learning at 4 months starts to get stronger, and they start understanding objects and patterns much better. So you can use this to your benefit, because when there's separation anxiety, that means that they understand already at this point patterns that are starting to be instilled in how they're falling asleep, and how they're being processed during the day as well, what kind of activities that they're doing. So one cool tip that you can do is to ease the separation anxiety is to play peekaboo. So yeah, it's a cute game, and it works specifically for those reasons, or those books that have the flaps on them. I think you guys know what I mean, like those soft books, and then you can like open up like the picture, and then like it has like, you know what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure. So make sure that playing peekaboo, hide and seek. Well, you can't play hide and seek with the little one, but peekaboo play is really good to do that. So what it shows is that when an object is hidden, you can't see me, and then when it refocuses, that it doesn't mean that it disappeared. It just means that it was a hidden object. So when you play games like that, and when you're out of sight, your little one will understand that you didn't disappear, because that's what they think, that when it's out of sight, that it just went away, and that's when they freak out. So when separation anxiety peaks, that's what happens. Playing peekaboo really helps them. Also making sure that you're giving them a couple of minutes to themselves. Maybe sit them down in a playpen or where they have their toys, and let them kind of hang out for like a minute or two without you being on top of them, without you being a helicopter parent. We want to kind of give them a little bit of space for themselves, so then they could become more independent and reassured that, yeah, I can do these, play with these blocks. I can do something like that too. So for everyone that's signing on right now, we're talking about the 8 to 12 month sleep regression period, and the 3 main factors in how to ease into them and solutions for them. So the first one that we were talking about is the 3 to 2 nap transition period that happens at the 8-month mark, and then separation anxiety and how to ease from the separation anxiety for your little one. That also happens at 8 months. Now, closer towards 12 months, this is the third main factor, is that your little one will most likely be standing already or even walking. So what happens is they can start to hold onto the rails of the crib like this, and then start jumping up and down like that. And they just won't fall asleep. They'll just start jumping and jumping and jumping, or their knees will lock, and for no apparent reason they will want to just sit down. You can sit there and you could tell them, lie down, please go to sleep. You're just going to be wasting your breath. So what you do is you just wait it out. Doesn't mean cry it out, it means wait it out. So what I mean is you can be in the room with your little one and encouraging them by a nurturing fashion, using your voice. You can tell them, sweet dreams, a little one, and just help them, pat on the mattress. You don't need to forcefully take them and sit them down. They need to learn how to do that. They need to master that technique. They're a person. They're their own individual little person, and they need to go through the process in understanding that, okay, I'm standing, and how do I sit? So this is how I sit. I have to bend my knees and I have to sit. That might, during the nighttime when a child is so overly exhausted and they're tired and they just want to fall asleep, common things like that don't trigger in their head, especially if they're just learning this technique. So again, make sure that these pieces, like standing, from standing to sitting, sitting to standing, are being practiced during the day. Nighttime is not kaputski and that's it. It means that it's a reflection of daytime sleep. So how your child is being, what they're reacting towards, what they're being taught during the day will reflect at night. So if you are all over your little one, if you're in their space the entire time and you're not giving them their own space, you know, like for a minute or two. I'm not saying, you know, put them down in the living room and just say peace and leave. I'm just saying, you know, give them like a couple of minutes so that they could play with their toys, maybe go in the kitchen, or you could sit somewhere else just to, you know, for them just to play a little bit by themselves. They do need some time just to kind of grasp onto things too, that when you're working during the day with them on those factors and they master those skills. So if it's like rolling over when they were 4 months, and now when they're between 10 to 12 months, when they're standing to sitting, that you want them to master that during the day. So then at night, it'll be easier. You don't want to start working on things at night. But when that happens, so I'm just preparing you that it does happen 99% of the time, that children around this age do just stand up and they refuse to sit down. And it can take some time. I've had cases where one child, a couple of children were actually really adamant about it and they didn't sit down for like a couple of hours. But the parents you guys should just stay confident in the method, the approach that you're using, and stay consistent with it. I don't mean the fact of you taking your child and placing them down on the mattress. I just mean you can pat on the mattress like with your hand and tell them, you know, sweet dreams, this is where you lie down, and then that's it. Because what happens is if you put them down, they're going to pop back up. You put them down, they're going to pop back up. I've had some parents that would hold their baby down firmly thinking that that will relax them. Usually it doesn't. It just creates more tension that way. Their body language, you will see through the process of it. So by you letting them be and giving them some space, yeah, they can belt out, they can flip out at you for a couple of seconds, but then that's fine. It's kind of like one of my friends, she gave a really cool analogy. So let's say you were driving on the highway and then all of a sudden there's gridlock traffic. There's nowhere to go at all. All of a sudden your little one is screaming in the back behind you. What are you going to do? You can't stop, turn around, or anything else like that. You can't take them out of the car seat to comfort them. You just wait it out until you get home, and then a certain time frame passes and then they're fine again. So while they're in the crib, if they are crying, that's okay, because you're not leaving them. You're still with them. You're still doing the process with them. So these regression periods are just developmental stages. They usually happen for a short time, maybe like a week to 2 weeks, and then they go back to how sleep was before. If it was beautiful before, that's usually what happens. If it isn't, then what happens is you just kind of layering horrible sleep on top of horrible sleep on top of horrible sleep until everything collapses. So let's not do that. If your little one is not sleeping properly right now, you could contact me and we'll put something together for you. But overall, sleep regression is nothing to get nervous of. I know it's a huge topic. It's marketed so lovely, and in general, people, when they hear the word regression or 4 months or 8 months or 18 months, they start getting like anxiety attacks because they don't know what to expect. It's simple. All it means is it's a developmental milestone, which is good because then your little one is growing. Understanding each of the milestones is important also for you, so then you know how to actually work into them and the solutions to find out for them. So these are a couple of pointers that I have for you guys tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to go into 18 to 24 months. So I want to read over any kind of comments. So hold on a second. Thanks for liking the video, guys. Okay. Let's see. I'm going all the way to the top. I want to make sure I didn't skip not one person. Okay. Oops. Okay, so Abigail says, so wake ups at 7:30, first nap 10:30 to 12:30, then 2 to 3 and 4, and bedtime 7:30 or 8. That sounds about right. Yeah, Abigail, that sounds pretty good. So I'm assuming your little one is 8 months. Let me know if they are, then yeah, that's a pretty good schedule you have there. Jane says, how long did it take your youngest son to what? I was talking when you typed that. I know you said previously it could be 1 or 2 months. Jane, refresh my memory what I was talking about. We struggle sometimes with naps completely and then push the early bedtime to as early as 6. Okay, so Jane, if you struggle with naps, it's really good that you are implementing an early bedtime, but naps are important. There must be a reason why naps are not happening for you, and I would want to go a little deeper into it, but I give you a big 2 thumbs up that you are implementing an early bedtime to compensate for the lack of sleep during the day. But again, we don't want to completely eliminate naps because they do have important properties to them. Again, morning naps are mental restoration, and afternoon naps are physical restoration. So you want to have your little one get these naps at least an hour each. So if you're struggling with them, I want to know a little bit more, but I am happy that you are doing an early bedtime to compensate for that. So then that's really cool. Laura, you wish that these videos were back in 2010. Well, they're available now, so you can have another one, or you can ask your sister to have another one. Let's see. Hi, Gianna. Hi, Patricia. Okay, so Nicole, you're saying this is a good idea. This could definitely be one of my issues that I haven't considered. Yeah, cool. So I'm happy that these tips that I'm giving you guys are helping you and that they're making sense and that you're going to implement them. Important key is implementing them. Okay, so let's see. Okay, Abigail, your daughter stands for hours. Yeah, so that happens. It's usually, you also want to make sure that they're tired enough too. So if she's just standing there and she doesn't look tired at all, I would keep a sleep diary and see what time does she actually fall asleep. You might notice that she's falling asleep around the same time period, and then I would place her down as opposed to maybe an earlier bedtime that you're doing right now and she's standing there for a long period of time. So try that. Try, Abigail, to have a sleep diary and to track any type of patterns. Let's see, who else? Okay, so Abigail, she's 11 months. The transition to 1 nap, that happens, yeah, so anywhere between like closer towards 12 months, kids start to show that they might want to transition to 1 nap. Heck no. That's way too young. I've had one case, it was 14 months. Some children, it's very, very rare for 12-month-old to be transitioned, and I mean it's very rare for that to happen. If they're completely fighting naps, both of them, for a long period of time, for at least 3 weeks, and you've tried everything, you've tried capping naps, you've tried blackout curtains, you've done your homework, you know what to do, and it's just not working for you, that might be the route, but that's like your last resort. You really need to try and amplify and make sure that these naps really do happen for her. So the transition to 1 nap usually should happen closer towards 18 months, and that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow on the transitioning for that. Younger than that, highly don't recommend. Kids do start to show some signs, but it's kind of like false advertising, where they, just like how I was talking about a couple of videos before, when kids are showing signs at 2 years old that they're ready to, or a year and a half, that they're ready to jump out of the crib and that they're ready to go into a toddler bed. Most kids, they are too young to go into that, and if you do transition them, it's probably good for a couple of days, and then what happens is that everything just goes downhill from there. So I would wait. I would keep a sleep diary. I keep saying that, often, like I sound like a broken record, but sleep diaries really do help a lot. And what I mean by that is just incorporating the times and when they sleep, what time they wake up, how many night wakings they had. See if you start to notice any type of a pattern that starts to flow in there. But I would wait a little. 11 months is way too young. Let's see. Lana says, my daughter goes nuts when I come even close to her crib with her. Why is she so terrified of it? I think, Lana, because I know you before mentioned on that you're breastfeeding and you were bed sharing, if I quite remember. So when a child is accustomed to a certain way that she's falling asleep, and you start to show a new change, and remember how I always say change, kids hate change no matter what kind of change it is, and that's where you start to say, oh, my kid hates their crib, they hate this, they hate that. It's not true. They don't hate anything. They just don't know how to think of a different way of falling asleep than what they know right now. So if she knows I need, the boob, and I need to be rocked, and I need to lie in mommy's bed, and that's how I fall asleep, that's what she knows, and you can't expect of her of any different. So if you are trying to get her into the crib, I would just stick with the plan, put a plan together, stick with it, stay consistent, and give it at least 2 weeks. Other than that, nothing's really going to work if you're not consistent and you don't have a detailed plan for yourself. So I would stick with that. Marta, soothing pattern going in to create a crutch. Not necessarily. If you pat your little one and you kind of soothe them that way, it doesn't create a crutch. Patting is not necessarily a crutch. It's just a cue to help them fall asleep. If you have to, keep your hand on them, or if you have to rock them, like kind of like go like that and then pat and go like that, like kind of like a rocking motion, that can. But really, if you're just patting them just to kind of, shh, sweet dreams, it doesn't really cause a crutch. Most crutches really happen if it's on a consistent basis for a long period of time, and you're still sticking with that assistance piece once they fall asleep. But patting really, I haven't had anybody that had a crutch from that. Lara, you're working on it. Cool. Marta says she wants to stand and for me to stand there, and she puts her head on me. Aww, that's so sweet. So if she wants you to stand there, that's fine. What I would do is I would just pat her, and then I would leave the room, do interval times for her. She's a pretty good sleeper. I trained her. So yeah, if she just wants a little bit of reassurance, that's totally fine, as long as it's not throughout the night. So if it's just the beginning portion of it for her to fall asleep nicely, then you're good to go. So that is it for tonight. I answered all of your questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Tomorrow is going to be the last day for the week. Again, I do every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 10 p.m. sharp. And I do different topics. So tomorrow we're going to be talking from 18 to 24 months. And then we're going to be hitting into February. And I have such awesome stuff. There's going to be an event that's going to be coming up in February where you guys get to get lovely facials done. It's going to be in Brooklyn Heights. Keep your eyes glued to your screen on my Facebook page. I'm going to send out invites soon. I'm actually going to be talking to them tomorrow about the details. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you guys about it. So it's going to be so much fun. So I'm planning a lot of cool things this year. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for the likes. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. Private message me if there's something that you felt a little shy about talking here with the rest of the world. And just let me know. I have one more. Nicole says, what if I may have created a crutch from breastfeeding and rocking 9-month, 3-week baby, wakes everyone? Okay. So Nicole, yes, that can be a crutch if you're not the breastfeeding part, but the rocking, because by 9 months, the habits are practically ingrained already. I'm not saying that they're permanent, that you can't change them. Just change equals crying. It's inevitable in children because they don't know what to expect. So that's why I always say that you need to stay consistent with it. So when you stay consistent with it, that they start to understand the new change is their new way of sleeping, their brand new routine. So what I would want you to do, Nicole, is to put a plan together for yourself on how you're going to wean from the breastfeeding, if that is your goal. By 9 months, a child should not be fed in the middle of the night unless there's a medical reason for it. And if there isn't, it just disrupts their sleep at night. So that's probably why they're waking up. That could be a big reason for that. So if you want any tips on, just one-on-one with me on how to wean from the breastfeeding at night and to stop the rocking in a gradual way so you don't have to do cold turkey, let me know and I'll put something together for you. Quick question, Abigail. Okay, shoot, what's up? And I'm happy that that this is helping you. And Marta, you'll be texting me in the morning, sure. I'll send you my invoice. Abigail, go ahead. What's the question? Babe, you took my water? Can I have it back? I'm thirsty. Aw, I'm happy. I'm happy, Abigail, that this is so helpful. Was that your question? Aaron, you could say hi. So this is a sleep consultant. This is my little one. Aaron, you could say hi. He just woke up. Aw, okay. Let me go put him down, guys. I'm not perfect either. We all have our moments. Kids are kids. They're people. So let me go put him down. Abigail, ask your question. What did you say? But nighttime only crib. Why is that? You want the crib to be, that's the safest place for a child to be sleeping. So let me know a little bit more what you mean by that, but I have to go and put my little one down to sleep. As you can see, he's falling asleep on me. So sorry guys. Sweet dreams. Love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.